All right, so this may not be de rigueur of the podcasting world, but you know what? I am going to give you a little bit of a path here, a little bit of a journey. Either you listen to this episode or you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to say it right away. If you feel like you have a thriving social life, you're getting out there, you're having super fun, you have lots of friends, you feel like you're constantly busy, and those friends are from all walks of life, but including your STEM roles, whether it's from your job, school, whatever, this episode might not be for you. I'm so happy if you hang out. It still might be helpful. Maybe you have people in your life you're like, hey, this would be helpful for. But, if you're like, I do have a great social life, I don't really need to hang out and listen to finding your people in STEM, then Godspeed. Let's hang out next week. I have a backlog. If you are new here, go check out other episodes. Not every episode is going to be for everyone. So this episode is for the people who are a little bit more like me. Feel like you like your coworkers, but you're kind of unfulfilled. Or you don't like your coworkers and you're definitely unfulfilled. And then the sort of friendship category, especially having friends who engage in STEM careers. Whether you don't have very many friends, or maybe you're not a good friend, or like all these things. Let's hang out. Let's talk about it. Welcome to STEMnity. This podcast, it really is where I want to spend time digging into things that we don't necessarily talk about enough or at all in STEM. I am, as always, your host, Anna Hodgshire. I have a PhD in atmospheric chemistry, currently an assistant professor of systems engineering at Colorado State University. And this podcast is not a part of my teaching or research roles at CSU. It's a part of my belief that we have really cool jobs that have the ability to impact the planet that we live on. Hell, our jobs could impact places we don't live on, right? Going to the moon, going to Mars, etc. And in order to make that impact, the impact that I can be comfortable and proud and happy to hand on to the generations that are going to come after me, I think we need to talk about the things that we don't talk about enough in STEM. And today, I really want to dig into something that's super normal, which is it's really normal to not have great friends in STEM at certain points in your life. It has taken me a very long time to find my people in STEM. In undergrad, I will say I did have friends that I really liked to hang out with. I still am friends with at least one person from undergrad. And it was a pretty positive experience for me on the social side, just in terms of work. I'm going to kind of leave out the other parts of my life. I have, a music part of my life, other parts, but just for the moment, focusing on STEM. I had friends in undergrad who were in the same program as me. We hung out on weekends, etc. It was a lot of fun. And then I moved to grad school, and I don't know, it was just a big I like these people. I don't dislike anyone I'm around, but I just don't feel like I belong. By middle or so of grad school, I was the person that was staying at home watching people's cats when they went off to get married with all the other people from grad school that we were kind of all hanging out with. And I'm not bitter about that. I realize that can sound kind of like, I'm watching the cats. No, these are just facts. And it was okay. I've had a great time watching Bobby. I literally sent Bobby I took a picture of Bobby, the cat, and sent it to the people getting married. Right when I was like, okay, it's probably about, ceremony's over. They're having their dinner, and, made a little joke, and apparently it went off very well. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something like, finally, my parents are no longer living in sin. So you know what? It was fine. I didn't mind it. It didn't hurt my feelings. I was the person who should have been staying at home watching the cats, because I wasn't the person who wanted to be at that wedding with all these people that I got along with just fine, but they weren't really my people. So I think the first thing I really want to impart on you is that don't lose hope. Your people are out there. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true. Don't lose hope. I didn't really have any close friends at work until near the end of grad school, when I realized that someone that I had been interacting with fairly frequently, but wasn't necessarily in my exact peer group, was actually really cool. And I would like to do things with her outside of school. And that became a really great friend. So while you're working on not losing hope, if you're feeling right now like, oh, I'm kind of stuck, I don't have a great friend group, or I'm not really friends with the people that are in my exact peer class, whether you're in grad school and that's, the other grad students, or you're at work and that's kind of the people that work in the similar type levels and roles as you do, whatever it is, don't lose contact with the most important people outside of work or school, especially if you've moved for school or work. So I moved for school and undergrad, I was staying at home. And so I had both my friends in school and I had my friends that I had grown up with. I hadn't stayed close friends with many people out of high school, but there were a few people. I'm still friends with them. They're awesome. Check out the episode with Taylor Christensen and Tim Rumkes. Those are some of my greatest friends that I've had for a very, very long time. And if you have lost contact with those important people, as you transition to a new position, as you potentially move to a new location, it's never too late to reach out. I know it can feel like very uncomfortable to be like, oh God, I have not talked to that person for 5 years, for 10 years. Like maybe if you're younger, you're like, really? People don't talk to each other for like 5 years? Yeah, dude, when you're in your 30s, you're like, yep, haven't talked to that person for 12 years. That's weird. People that I haven't talked to in high school, I'm not the best at mental math, so that's why this is going slowly, but I want to say 17 years at this point, right? If I left when I was 18, that sounds about right. Whew, that's a long time. But if you're thinking through and you're like, you know what, there was that one person, Sarah, Michael, Tim, Robert, whatever their person's name was. I wonder if I just reach out, right? And you might have the wrong phone number or the wrong email or whatever, check to see if they're on LinkedIn, right? Maybe you have to kind of go through a friend of a friend of a friend to find that person, but just reach out. Or, if you're on Facebook because you're older than 30, I don't know, do kids still do Facebook? I don't love Facebook. It's not my thing. I like Instagram, it's fine, but Facebook, it's weird. Anyways, if that person that you reach out to, they're upset, you haven't talked to them for a long time, they're like, what the hell, man? Like, why are you reaching out now? What's your problem? Well, that's okay. That probably wasn't your person. No worries. Just move on. Be like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry. Right. It has been a long time. I hope you're doing great. Best of luck. And then you just leave it, right? You don't have to continue this conversation. It's not a big deal. A lot of my friends, in fact, basically all of my close friends, except for one, have anywhere between mid to moderate to perhaps severe, seems like a cruel word. So we're going to go strong, mid to strong ADHD, myself being one of them. And we all kind of have this, I don't know, time dilation thing where it's like, wow, it really has been 10 years since we talked. I can't believe it. But I remember the last time we talked, you were kind of working on this thing, or I've kind of seen this thing on social media that you've been doing. What's up? And like, you just kind of roll into that friendship again. And it's amazing. So don't lose hope. Don't lose contact with the most important people when you're moving either physically or emotionally into a new job, a new school, whatever it is. Next up, be open to surprise friendships and be open to finding friends in random places. Never have I ever woken up in the morning and gone, I'm going to make a friend today. Nope, doesn't happen. But occasionally, not very often, but occasionally enough, I go to bed and I'm like, I made a new friend today. That's pretty cool. One thing that I realized for myself is that I do not tend to find friends kind of within my precise group that I'm within, whether that is my work units, my research group, my graduate student group. Pick your poison. Right now, I'm an assistant professor, so you could say, well, my group could be all of the assistant professors of Colorado State University to pick from. And I don't know. It's not that I don't like these people. I really enjoy many people that I work with, that I, am around a lot of time, but just a lot of them aren't my people. I don't know if I'm picky or what, but I feel like I just have enough introversion and enough shyness and enough kind of special interests that don't seem to be common, like super common, and that it's hard for me to vibe with people. Something I have struggled with the grad school student group was it felt like the conversations were often things that I didn't really know anything about. So I felt like I couldn't add to the conversation, and then I felt uncomfortable, and then I kind of shut down. All right, maybe part of this would have been solved by going to therapy when I was in grad school instead of waiting until I graduated, which, by the way, if you're listening, long time listener, first time listener, I really am serious when I say that we should start a drinking game around every time Anna brings up going to therapy in an episode. And that drinking game is treat yourself to a fresh, tall glass of water. Not an innuendo there, just drink some water or tea or another tasty beverage, maybe some electrolytes. Keep yourself hydrated. Hydration is important. But yeah, you might not find friends within your precise peer group, and that's totally okay. I have friends in my university admin, some people that are in my program right now. I recently made friends with a couple of people that I'm like, hey, this is super cool. They are actually students in the program, but they are both adults who are around my age or older, and I'm not directly overseeing them. And I'm just like, oh, you're just a working professional who happens to be going to school at the same time, and you happen to have a lot of shared interests that I'm excited about. Some of these people I have already had or am having shortly on the podcast. So the Paul Jenkins episode, he's great. I'm so glad to meet him. Francisco Cordova, also great. New music buddy. We chat about music fairly regularly. It's super fun. And that brings me to my next thing. When you're being open to these surprise friendships and being open to finding friends in random places, is to stick to your interests. It's really okay if you have a passion for 18th century romantic literature and everyone around you, it feels like, is talking about sports and IPAs, which is a type of beer, if you're not sure what I'm talking about. Can't remember what IPA stands for. Otherwise, I would drop that knowledge on you. Sorry. Google it. Anyways, stick to your interests. It's really okay. If other people are kind of bringing things up that are maybe kind of parallel or intersecting with your interests, maybe share, because you never know who's going to vibe on that. I talked about music in a social setting and I met Paul. I talked about animals and I met Francisco, right? These are just things that like I'm very excited about and passionate about. I don't give a shit about sports. I'm excited that some of my friends do. Great. I'm glad that they love it. Literally the only thing I want to do in the sports world is watch every single moment of content I can. Every 4 years for the Winter Olympics, I will watch it all. I was actually the most catty about the figure skating this last cycle because it just feels very like, I don't know. I was a figure skater when I was young, and I'm really into the musicality and the emotional aspects of figure skating and the expressiveness. And right now, with the judging as it is, it feels like the skaters are just like they just have to go element, 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 element. I think that's why the gold Alyssa Liu gold women's gold figure skating. Good Lord, got that out. Was so exciting to so many people because she actually did bring a lot more passion and excitement to her skate rather than, element, element, element. Anyways, most of you are probably super bored because you're like, I don't care about the Winter Olympics or I don't care about figure skating. That's fine. In that moment, you could zone out for a sec, but hopefully there's enough things about me or the people you could be friends with that you do share an interest in common, that those are your people. And finally, with this kind of being open with surprise friendships, I will say that it does help, and you really should try to do new things periodically. It doesn't have to be all the time, but going to that uncomfortable local networking thing, taking a lunch break around others, chatting at conferences, whatever it is, to start to meet some new people. I actually have found that I don't know if I just am sending off a stronger vibe or what, but often when I meet people at conferences that end up being my people, we very rapidly steer from sort of the rote, what do you do? What is your name? To more of a, here's this random thing I'm super excited about. Here's this ridiculous story that happened to me, kind of back and forth. And it's really fun. And that brings me to my next main point of this episode, which is honestly, I think it's time that a lot of us consider redefining our definitions of friendship and activities for friendship. So, what do I mean by that? I mean that media portrays friends in a very specific way. And when I say media, I'm not just talking about like Instagram. I don't even know what friendship looks like on Instagram, honestly, because it's all just like 20 seconds of content and it's very distracting and confusing. I'm talking more about like movies and TV shows where, the woman has her bestie that they seem to spend 70% of their waking hours together with. What the fuck? I would never do that with anyone. Sorry. I love all my besties. I don't want to spend 70% of my time with you. It's the, going out at night every night of the week. It's the whatever it is that maybe makes you and me feel like I'm not a very social person. I don't really have good friends because I'm not spending 70% of my time with this person that I love. Again, love my besties, don't want to hang out with them all the time. So whatever definition of friendship that you feel like you've been handed to, socially, it doesn't need to be your definition. For me, I have conference friends. These are people that I see pretty routinely, one, two, maybe up to four times a year at a conference. And I'm like, holy shit, so great to see you, blah, blah, blah. We're going to catch up. We don't really talk outside of the conference. It's not a big deal. It's great. And we have fun conversations while we're there. It's someone that I know that I can turn to if I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, a little anxious, a little like I feel like I should be interacting with someone, but there's literally no one in this room I want to interact with, or I'm too scared to go up to. So I'm going to chat with my conference friend for 5 minutes to just sort of like loosen up, calm down, and then be like, hey, thanks, buddy. I'm going to go now talk to that person I was kind of intimidated to talk to. A lot of my friends, to be honest, are people that I either see or have a phone call with every 1 to 6 months. And sometimes I'm like, ah, it kind of sucks. I would love to see some of those friends a little bit more often. But honestly, we're all really busy. We all have a lot going on. And sometimes I reach out and they're like, hey, I am so excited to see you. I can't see you for another 2 months. And then I'm like, shoot, that, 2 months down the road, I'm like gone every week for travel. Or you're right. It just happens and it's okay. I have friends that I text briefly many days of the week. These are usually my music friends, as in we share music back and forth. And that's a wonderful way for me to interact with people. I love being like, I'm so excited about this song. And then I send it to them and they're like, cool. And then they find a song that they're excited about. And yeah, maybe we don't love every single song that we share with each other, but over 50% of the songs that I get that are new are from friends. I'm like, this is amazing. I have friends, as I already have kind of alluded to, that I have lost touch with for a long time, over 10 years, whatever, beyond maybe like that occasional Instagram interaction. But then we both just instantly reconnected. I've done that with a friend. We reconnected, gosh, I want to say last December. We had a call and it was just like, oh, no time has passed. It was amazing. And I would say that none of my friendships look like that dominant mode that's portrayed on, TV shows and movies, right? I don't have the person I'm hanging out with a bunch of the time. I'm not just constantly calling people. That's something that maybe I do struggle with in friendship and maybe I could work on is that I don't really feel that comfortable reaching out when something kind of crisisy is happening. But there are a couple of people I could text if I really needed to and just be like, hey, kind of going through a rough patch. Do you have a little time this week? And that's okay. And with these friends that I do have, we try to share in activities that we both enjoy doing, whether it's talking about music, going on a dog walk, meeting at a brewery, doing phone calls for my long distance friends. I have several friends who are long distance, either they live in Utah or other states. So I think it's really time for us to think, okay, does our definition of friendship match our desire for friendship? I don't enjoy what was kind of handed to me in grad school. Grad school felt very like group settings, party settings, a lot of the time, everyone's going to go to the brewery. Everyone's going to go to so and so's house and hang out. And I don't really thrive in those situations. Pretty much the only times I would feel really comfortable is if I could find another fairly introverted person and we would just have kind of a one-on-one conversation for a long time. And then I'd sort of like, oh, the rest of the party is going on. I suppose I have to like go interact again. And all just didn't feel great. So I think that's my definition of friendship has really evolved over the last while. It's gotten to this level of I'm really comfortable with having different modes of friends, whether it's a text almost every single day friend, but we basically don't interact outside of that. That's great. Or it's a have a phone call or go on a walk occasionally friend. Also great. So I think that this episode, again, is hopefully helpful to one, normalize that it's normal if you don't feel like you're that close to the people that you're kind of surrounded with day to day, and that it's okay. Like your people are out there. Stay in contact with important people that aren't within your work settings to just have that person to reach out to. Be open to friendship where you don't expect it, whether it's not within your peer group or meeting at an odd place that you didn't expect, all those good things, and redefining what does friendship mean to you and figuring out what that actually means so that you have friends that you enjoy. So I would say for my move and learn and move your feet of the week. So again, listen to a lot of ideas. What's something you could implement is I do actually think that examining the definition of friendship is probably the most important thing you could do right now. Does your definition match your desires? And then contemplate, do you have some people in your life already right now who are starting to match that desired version of friendship? And could you plan to, do something with them? As a concrete example, one of my greatest friends in my life, she is kind of more on the admin role at the program that I went to for grad school. And our friendship evolved. So she started maybe a year or two after I started grad school. And at first it was just going down for kind of rote. I'm very terrible with paperwork, deadlines, all the things that you have to do to be like a functioning citizen within a large organization. Absolutely awful about it. So I would just go down and be like, hey, please, can you help me, Sarah, with this thing that I don't understand how to do? And then we'd kind of chat for a couple of minutes after that because she seemed cool and I liked the way she dressed and she had some fun things in her office, right? She didn't just seem sort of like a cookie cutter HR person that I wouldn't necessarily get along with. I liked her vibes, I was into it. But it took probably a year or more of us just first having little conversations. And then, gosh, I would go down like once a week at least and just have like a half-hour social conversation with her to be like, oh, damn, you're actually my friend. And this is really cool. And do you want to do something outside of work, So sometimes it takes a bit to identify, oh, just because I felt like I needed to be friends with my grad school students and, it wasn't an option to be friends with someone who wasn't in my grad school group. These barriers don't exist. These boundaries don't exist. Obviously, there's boundaries of appropriateness. Being best friends with maybe your immediate boss or your advisor is not always the best, especially during the working relationship. Maybe after you've graduated, you've been promoted, whatever, that friendship could always be picked back up later on. Okay, that was a lot. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I hope that this was helpful. Again, it's okay that you're not where you want to be with friendship right now. I think that there's always paths forward to getting to where you want to be. As always, the music for this podcast is by me, XSS. I know I've been playing the same song for some time, so I should shake it up. So I will think about that. I will work on that, try to get back to you soon. Look for new music soon. Please feel free to hang out with me. I'm on Instagram at STEMdenity. I'm on LinkedIn and Lily Hodgshire. Either or both are great places. I'm a little bit more active on STEMdenity. My LinkedIn is kind of a weird mishmash of a bit of STEMdenity and a bit of work and such, but you can always message me on either. I'm happy to chat. And if we make it to the end of the episode, I have a song of the week. Music is an important and consistent part of my life. And I, as mentioned, have made some new friends recently. I made a new music friend recently, which I'm very excited about. We have a lot of tastes in common. We have some tastes absolutely not in common. He's a little bit younger than I am, and I think it's hilarious because I can totally age him based on his hip hop taste. So I'm like, whoa, you like stuff that is like 10 years younger than me, because he's not 10 years younger than me, but I hung out with my older brother and his friends during my formative hip hop years. So my hip hop tastes, I feel like, are just a little bit older than I am. Anyways, that was a digression. One of the things we totally align on is a lot of our tastes in EDM. I have a whole playlist on Spotify called EDM, sometimes classical, because I really like that EDM music that sort of, I don't know, just brings in that very repetitive Baroque, Bach, Beethoven type vibe to it. So he sent me a song, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago that I quite enjoyed. So hopefully you also enjoy it. I'm going to pronounce this name wrong. As always, I'm sorry. The song name is Opus by Eric Prydz, Prydz. But have no fear, the links for everything I mentioned are in the show notes. Instagram, LinkedIn, Song of the Week, XSS, all that good stuff. I'm so glad we hung out. I hope that you view me as a friend from afar. And again, you can always reach out because I am here and I'm happy to talk to you, and we will hang out next week.